Dear Shaumbra, the journey began for all of us, in the temples of Tien in Atlantis. In the temples of Tien, we brought ourselves together. We envisioned a time just like this, 13 cycles later, a time that would come that we could speak the word enlightenment, where we could accept it within ourselves, where we could literally bring that consciousness into this reality that we knew would be dense and harsh, a reality that would almost try to drive it from us, but with a deep passion that we all brought in back in Atlantis. We knew that it would sustain, and we knew that it would blossom here on Earth. After Atlantis, we came back from underneath the ground where we live for protection, but also symbolic of our own inner look, going to the inner vision, connecting with our souls and our divine that would have been difficult to do while still being engaged in all the activities of the outside or the upper world. And from there we went into the times of Egypt, coming up literally from the ground into what are the temples, the pyramids all over the world. We emerged. So many of you in the times of Egypt, in the great pyramids, in the king's chamber, breathing in our divinity, breathing in the potentials for this era of humanity. Later, joining together in body or in spirit in the time of Yeshua, as Essenes, as the ones bringing in the mysteries into this planet, and the one heralding in what many thought would be the beginning of a new time and a new age, but all of you knew that it had already begun. Walking with the great master, Yeshua, the lands of Israel, bringing in those energies, seeding this earth with the Christ energy, the Christos energy. Not to forget the times of Tobias. Yes, Tobias. Dear Tobias, when so many of you were in those times as well, Tobias Sr., also called Tobias, Tobias Jr., Sarah, Archangel Raphael. A beautiful story, and a time when, again, we were all together, all brought together for this purpose of realizing what we had imagined back in the Atlantean temples. And then on to the mystery schools. The mystery schools. All throughout Europe, a place of fun and study, a place of really understanding how to bring in the divine. But, as you know, the world wasn't quite ready at that time. The mystery schools were like islands unto themselves. Very much celebration. But the moment we walked into the outside world, it was a shock. It was traumatic. Going from the beautiful energies into the mystery school, into the very, very dense consciousness of the human world. And now, this time, 13 years ago, the true energy of Shaumbra started to manifest. Over the years, many of you brought together this new call of Archangel Gabriel, this new call to come together, saying it is time for your enlightenment. It is time. That call that has brought us together month after month over these years, a call that has brought up something within you, given you the courage, given you the hope for your own enlightenment. Not for the world, not for your family, not for anyone except you. It's given you the potential brought to this earth to be in your enlightenment. This group has been through so much together, and individually you will realize your sovereignty. Individually. It's not about all the group doing it at one time, but yet there is also that entity called Shaumbra, that consciousness of each and every one of you. There's been the sharing over lifetimes and lifetimes. There's been the times at the mystery schools. There's been times with me as Saint-Germain. We share so much with each other. We've gone through so much with each other. And now we come to this moment, right now, this moment on the planet where things are changing so rapidly. This moment of the new Crimson Circle, with such a focus, with such a clarity, and such a graceful form of allowing. So yes, after all these words, after all the anticipation, yes, I, the beloved Saint-Germain, will continue with each and every one of you, closer than ever, but each and every one of you who is choosing their embodied enlightenment in this lifetime. You came here to be the lighthouses. And by that, I don't mean to go out and try to change the world. It doesn't work. But simply the lighthouse is just shining the light, saying, I'm here. Shining the light through the darkness so others may see more than they ever had before. That's why you're here. You chose to be here at this time. You chose to go through the hardships that you have, the self-doubts, which those were some of the worst things that you went through. Now you can release the self-doubts. Just that simple. When you feel one coming on, you just let it float right on by. Because you are doing the right thing. You did come here at the right time. And you met the right people. You're here now doing exactly why you came to the planet. You're here for your passion, and that is simply to shine on. To shine on. You don't need to struggle to shine on. You don't need to have a daily plan. You don't need to have a goal. You don't need to work at it. And that's going to be challenging for some of you. You want a structure to it, and there is none. It's simply shining on. As you shine on, you can do the things that you enjoy. Whether it's painting, whether it's building something, just going for long walks. You could even just be watching movies, reading books. It doesn't matter. Feel into where your heart is, what you want to do, what would give you the most joy. Creating something, taking something apart. It doesn't really matter. There's nothing you have to do now. I want you to realize you don't even have to worry about a salary, about money. Because it comes to you if you allow it. It comes to you. And some of you are going to be very challenged by that. Some of you are going to be perhaps thinking that I'm not talking to you or that you're not ready yet. But you come to discover sooner than later that it is just there. And you can't think your way into it. You can't plan or manipulate your way into it. It's just there. You designed it this way. You designed it so that you could be here as an embodied master on the planet at this time of machines, where consciousness is needed, and now consciousness comes. People are under tremendous pressure right now and anxiety. They want to go back to the old days, although if they really look carefully, the old days weren't all that great. They don't know how to go into the new days. But if there are enough humans on the planet, shining their light, enough humans like you who are in consciousness and simply sharing that light. I'm not talking about evangelizing, knocking on doors, trying to convert people or anything like that, simply sharing your light. There's a very good chance that they'll see something in their own energy see potentials that they never saw before, never could have seen before without that light. And that has the potential to change them, to change the planet, to bring us into this new era of humanity. Not just for the planet, but for the cosmos, for all soul beings in the post-angelic family era of what comes next. It may be difficult to acknowledge or to realize right now, but it's been a very small group on the planet who've actually been preparing for this for many, many lifetimes. A small, quiet group that is simply bringing these changes at this time of machines. The most beautiful, but yet the most fragile time. I eventually came here to work with this small group that could make a huge difference on the planet. Such a huge difference that later on in another time traveling that I did, I found myself in about the year 2034. It was about 14 years after my first experience. And while I would have extrapolated what society would be like in 2034 based on what I saw in 2020, it's not what actually happened. In other words, humanity didn't follow that, what you would call the linear path 14 years later, basically being a robotic society, everybody on medications. Something else happened. That's why you're here. That's why you chose this time. Without your consciousness and some of the others who are choosing to stay on the planet, the outcome would be different. Yes, indeed, human species would be replaced, absolutely, totally replaced. This is not a stretch of imagination. I'm not embellishing. You don't have to be a PhD or a rocket scientist to figure it out. Look in the news. It's right there every day, but people don't see it. First, body parts are replaced by technology, then the mind is augmented, then more pills, more of these chemical headbands, and pretty soon, humanity as you know it doesn't exist in a generation or two from now. I ask each and every one of you to feel into your hearts, to feel into why you came here in the first place at this time of machines, to go beyond just the workings of the mind right now, the mind that would evaluate how well you've done or what you've done. Go beyond that, but feel into why you chose to come here, why you've allowed yourself to come to this point now. Yes, a small group can make a big difference when they're not trying to inflict change, they're not trying to make others follow in their standard, their format, but simply here sharing their consciousness and their light. A small group can affect an entire planet and an entire universe. Tonight, when you go to bed, I ask that you feel into this, why you chose to come here, what you've been through, where you're going next. I ask you to stop and acknowledge and honor yourself for what you are doing, as I honor and respect you. I ask you to give yourself that hug and that pat on the back for being here in the first place. If you need to, shed a few tears for what you've been through to get here. But then let yourself smile to know where we go next. It's a small group. Many more will come in soon, but it's a small group now. But perhaps have a smile about where we go next, because you know as well as I do. You know in your heart where we go with all this. Let's do it. With that, I do indeed love the act of consciousness of Adamus, but there are times when it's so much more appropriate to come to you as the beloved Saint-Germain. Thank you. We've been together a long time. We welcome newcomers, and some of you really aren't newcomers. You were with us through all these times. Some of you are brand new into this and don't feel like an outsider ever. You're welcome to join in what we're doing because it's not meant to be just for this group. So welcome everybody, and for all of you regulars, let's take a deep breath and welcome in the new ones. There'll be many, many more to come. We lost about 98.35% of the ones we started out with. I'm talking about from the time of the Essenes, the time of Yeshua. We lost quite a few. Even after Tobias came in, some popped in and popped out. Lost a lot when I came in. They couldn't, bear the magnificence, I guess, or something. All right, it's my humor, and Calder saying probably my breath, but we lost a lot. They got distracted. Easy to do, so easy to do. Let's go get them. I mean, not drag them by their shirt collars, but let's get them. Let's let them know that we're here. Let's let them know that, yeah, even you got distracted at times, but you're here right now. Let's take a deep breath and go into the end of time. Let's go back to those times of Yeshua when you gathered, and slowly the gatherings got smaller and smaller. The risk was high. It was dangerous. So some just stopped showing up. Others were what I call spiritual fortune seekers. They wanted all the answers handed to them on a platter that came from the outside, and they left when you didn't give them that platter with the answers. A lot left along the way. Some got involved deeply in the churches because initially, what would you call the initial churches, Christian church in particular, still carried on the tradition of the Essenes and Yeshua. It was only after about year 380 AD that it started to get highly distorted, twisted. Some got distracted in the churches. Some got distracted just because they felt that this beauty, this mystery should be, well, I guess, preached to people, taught to people. In other words, to go out and evangelize. And it's always been against the ways to evangelize any of this, because you can't go out and teach it. No, you can only wait for them to come to you. And when they do, then you can show them ultimately, what's in this chalice. So many got distracted by so many different things. Love, riches and fortunes. Got distracted by conspiracies. Conspiracies are kind of fun, but it is definitely a dead end. Definitely. Let's go back and let them know. Because they've always been family. They've always been part of this. Even when they've wandered off, even when they've left in anger, let's let them know we're here. Let's let them know they're welcome back. No judgments, no lectures, only smiles and hugs. There's so many of them out there. You know, actually, in a way, they've been wanting this for a long time. They've been wanting to know it's time to come back. They just wanted to know that you made it, that it's real, and that we're ready now. For the physics of this planet and really the whole physical cosmos and beyond that to go beyond duality. How does that happen? Well, it's when divinity is truly integrated. Let's take a deep breath and welcome back. To all those who got distracted, to all those who felt rejected, to all those who felt superior, and to all those who forgot about the truth. To all those who felt betrayed, to all those who wanted the answers so much faster. To all those who were tired of waiting for humanity or consciousness to catch up. For all those who didn't have the patience to wait until the time was just right. To all those who got overly philosophical. To all those who wanted the glory for themselves rather than to be in service to others. To all those who tried to seek power within this truth. To all those who were tortured and ridiculed for their beliefs. Welcome back. I say to each and every one of you coming back, we've all gotten distracted, including me. We've all been arrogant at times, especially me. We've all been in extreme self-doubt. Welcome back. You Essenes, you knights, you priests and nuns. Welcome back, you lone birds. Welcome back, you philosophers and you thinkers. Welcome back to this group you once knew as Shaumbra. We're here today. It's the year 2021. And we're going to go beyond duality. We're going to see what that experience is all about. We're going to do it within ourselves. And then we're going to allow that radiance to go out as a grand potential to all of creation. Let's take a good deep breath. And our marab of welcoming back.